The concept I want to discuss here is emotional overreactions. For example, why do we have such big reactions over the small little stupid things in our everyday lives? What causes that? Like, why, right? And it bothered me for a long time. And of course, there's answers out there, but they're kind of confusing, and it's kind of like, yeah, okay, I get it, and whatever. But I think this way here helped me really understand it to the point where it prompted me to action to do something. So I want to share this with you guys and just see what you think about it. So let's begin. We have here our very, very low detail drawing. So what happens is it always starts at an incident site. It's always a huge emotion, and how an emotion is created. It's an energy that manifests in our body when something either goes against our value system or we're an immediate threat and we have to act right now. And so we need that extra bit of a fuel, to keep going. And so what happens is this: we have a negative emotion or bad reaction. And I'm going to change the language up too, because I don't like using that, because as soon as you say bad or negative, you feel guilty or kind of ashamed to have those things. So I'm going to use some language to clean that little bit of it up. But anyways, so an incident happens. And what happens is we have an emotion. We get that surge of energy. That's literally what it is. It's energy. So say it happens down here in our stomach, and it starts to travel up. Now here's the other thing. We have emotional gates in the body: the eyes, the mouth, and the hands with which we express ourselves. And those are just the big main ones. There's other ways to do it, but we'll give someone the mean look. We'll tell someone, hey, fuck you. Or we're going to clench our fists, and that is a form of emotional expression. Now, the problem is that we've all been raised to be really nice people, and having negative emotions are not good, so we have to keep those in. We have to do something with them, but no one ever teaches us what to do with them, and this is the problem, and this is what the problem is going to look like here now. So, we have our emotion. Our emotion starts here, and it starts to trickle up to the emotional gate. But then something happens. We don't let that emotion out, right? We effectively shut the door. Right? So in this case, this is something that someone should have spoke up on. They didn't speak up on it. So now the emotion can't get out of that gate. So what happens? Well, it finds somewhere else to go. Path of least resistance, just like energy, just like electricity, right? So it starts to bounce around inside of our body. Gets even better. You stay around long enough to have a few more of these shitty fucking incidents. Well, look, here, I'll use a different color here just to illustrate it, but now you got another one. Guess what? It's heading up to that gate. Oh, the gate is closed again. Guess what? Now it's going to bounce around and move around. So you can see very quickly how this can turn into a runaway. Okay? So that's only the first part of it. So now, the everyday actions, these emotions, they know which gates they have to get out. Okay? But we're just denying them. So now, when something small and insignificant comes along, something that, irritates or irks you, you're going to tell somebody how you feel about that, because it's fairly, there's not a lot of risk to it, and you can kind of voice your displeasure, but there's a fucking problem. You have all of this surge of energy that's trying to get out that same gate. So if you open that gate up just a little bit, it's the equivalent of, you get that small little hole in the dam there where the water starts coming through, and that's going to really push through. Well, it's the same idea, right? You open your mouth to get your displeasure out, but a whole fucking pile of this shit wants to come out behind it too, and it does. And that's how we have the overreaction to things, and that's why it's very important. That's why it is very important not to ever keep any of this in. And so the challenge now becomes is, how do we find the healthiest outlet to let these things out? And that question has to be answered, right? So now we have the building blocks. Now we understand. To give someone a process or procedure on how to emotionally express themselves at that point, there's so many ways to go. It's like that's where you have to do the work in understanding yourself now as well, and what you need, right? And then figure out how to express that. And that's the challenge, right? So now, instead of just being held in by all this and being paralyzed, now we have the knowledge, and now we have an understanding of where we have to get. So if we're here and the goal is here, how do we best as individuals get to here using our own perspectives and understandings of the world? And that's the challenge.